While the pressure builds around Justice Department officials, the Daily Mail is reporting that a source close to Ghislaine Maxwell says she is willing and eager to appear before Congress if she's asked to testify about the elusive Epstein client list.
That's right. Maxwell has Epstein's and was Epstein's closest confidant. She was convicted back in 2022 for her involvement in his illicit lifestyle in New York and in Palm Beach, as well on his private island.
CBS 12's I-Team Chief Mike Magnoli is live with us in the studio with more on these developments surrounding Maxwell. Mike?
So Liz, Luli, here's a question. If Maxwell were to appear before Congress and if President Trump is on that Epstein client list, would that torpedo her chances for a presidential pardon? Now, this is all speculation. The Daily Mail isn't naming their source. But when I sat down with Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, we talked about Maxwell. I'm going to play that for you in its entirety. But first, there was a question about the death of Epstein. Much is being made about the just-released jail tape and how there is 1 minute of missing footage. What happened to him?
Either he was helped by people in the prison to commit suicide. He didn't commit suicide by himself, that's clear. Either he was helped to commit suicide or somebody killed him. And I don't know the answer to that question. I think it'd be very hard to get people into a prison to kill him, and especially that Monday, they were going to be arguing for his bail, and he had a good chance of getting bail. And the biggest mistake he made, just forget about the terrible things he did, he was living nicely in Paris, and he couldn't have been extradited from Paris. And he came to the United States, and his lawyers, I had stopped being his lawyer 10 years earlier, but his lawyers apparently didn't give him sufficient warning that he might be under investigation. I never would have encouraged him to come back to the country because we knew they were out to get him, and for good reason.
What if Ghislaine came to you, asked for help?
I would help her. I think she has been mistreated. I think her sentence is way, way, way too long, and I would hope that the president might consider commuting her sentence.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Talk more.
Well, she was a victim as well. I mean, she was a perpetrator and a victim, both. She was his partner, but...
Did you ever meet her? You've met her.
Yeah, I've met her a number of times. I met her before I knew Jeffrey Epstein. I met her through her father and her mother.
Yeah.
I knew her through her English connections and through her Israeli connections.
Do you think because he's dead and gone now, we as a culture need a fall guy?
Absolutely.
And it's going to be her?
Oh, I think if he hadn't died, she never would have suffered the consequences she'd suffered. And the idea of such a long sentence that she would, possibly even die in prison is much, much disproportionate to what is alleged against her.
Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence in a federal facility in Tallahassee. Now, look, as of right now, no one from Congress has asked her to testify that we know of, but as we've seen in the past few days, this Epstein saga is far from over, and in fact, it appears to be heading into a new chapter. I'm Mike Magnoli, CBS 12 News.